Right now. Good evening and thank you so much for watching tonight. Every day across this province, domestic violence is tearing lives apart. The aggression, torment and violence happens more often in Saskatchewan than any other province in Canada. The rate of intimate partner violence in Saskatchewan is twice the national rate. At its worst, it's fatal. Between 2010 and 2014, there were on average 2 intimate partner homicides each year. Here are some of those fatal cases. In February 2012, Diane Martel was discovered dead in a house in Prince Albert. The coroner's report confirms she was shot and killed by her husband. In January 2015, Sharon Ann Kinniquan, a social worker, was killed in an apparent murder-suicide at the hands of her common-law spouse. April 2015, a case that shocked the province. Latasha Gosling and 3 of her children were killed in a murder-suicide involving her boyfriend. The next month in Regina, Celeste Yanni was killed. Her boyfriend was charged with murder. A year later, Sandeep Kaur Tahera was killed. Her husband was also charged with murder. 25% of the calls, or 1 in 4, that police respond to are related to domestic violence. It happens every day, but despite the frequency, there are cases that raise red flags about the system victims turn to for help. Stephanie Langenegger joins us with the story of a Regina woman who says she's been the victim of stalking, harassment, and threatening behavior by her now ex-partner. Stephanie, her case has prompted a change at the Regina Police Service.
That's right, Jill. Her name is Rebecca Steppen, and her case has the Regina Police Service admitting it didn't properly investigate her complaints. She's been to police many times over the years with concerns about her ex. She says for years he tried to control her. He showed up at her place unannounced, tried to pry the door off the balcony to get into her apartment. He got in her car and wouldn't get out when she asked him to, she says. Most of the times when she's complained to police about those things, she says they've been dismissed. She says even when they made her horrified about her son's safety, a child she has joint custody of with her ex.
There's been many text messages where he's told me in uncertain terms that, you know, you silly girl, you should know better than to think the police are going to run after text messages that I write, or you're being silly, and just very condescending, because it seems like he knows that the police system or the legal system is always going to grant him access, and no matter what he does, because he's the father, and no matter what he says, because unless he directly does something, they just won't do anything unless he actually fully does something.
In October of 2015, here's what Rebecca went to police with: a text message from her ex-husband, which features a photo of a hand holding a clear plastic bag with white rope folded inside and the sales receipt attached. It says, "My newest purchase involves Charlie. It's nice and soft. I'll be keeping it in a nice, safe place." Another chilling message came from her ex. This one had that rope tied into a noose and read, "Check out what I learned how to tie. Looks good, hey?" So Rebecca went to police with that first text message and shared how vulnerable she felt. She wants sole custody of her son, but to get there, she told the officer, she has to document her ex-husband's behavior.
Despite what you think, I still need to document this. I still need to get this in, because when I do go to court for full custody, I still have to have like a written report basically saying this is what he's done. And he got very upset with me, and he kept insisting that the rope was a dress. I guess maybe that's just the way the picture looked like from his angle. And when I brought up to him that more women were becoming involved in murder-suicides, because recently the Tisdale incident had just happened, he got very defiant with me and said, "That's what's wrong with people like you. You see something on TV and you think it's happening to you," and got very upset with me.
So Rebecca Steppen says she was speechless at that response. She launched an investigation by going to the Public Complaints Commission, which investigates police. And her account of what happened that day was corroborated with video and audio from the front desk of the Regina Police Headquarters. Police now say they made a mistake.
When Rebecca first arrived at the police station to report those things, the reporting was not as accurate as it could have been. Through the complaints process, that has been corrected. All of Rebecca's concerns are now on a police file. That information has also been shared with another policing jurisdiction within the province, and we are prepared to investigate that further. There has been an investigation further, but no charges laid for a variety of circumstances. And again, I go back to the complexity around some of the domestic conflict that we see.
Rebecca Steppen met with Joanne Duzel, Jill. She's a coordinator for the Provincial Association of Transition Houses and someone who has 2 decades of experience dealing with domestic violence victims. Joanne Duzel assessed Rebecca Steppen's relationship with her ex through an official test, yes/no questions that tell you the likelihood of someone to reoffend. Her ex-partner fell in the highest risk group.
Perhaps in some police officers, if they've been in the field for a while, they may get frustrated when they see that women that they've dealt with remain in the relationship. And then that may lead them to not want to put a lot of time and effort into it if they feel that the person is perhaps going to recant or return to the abuser. What they don't understand is all the many reasons there are for women to stay in the relationship, not the least of which is their own safety. As we know that the most dangerous time for a woman who's in a violent relationship is when she's planning to or has actually left.
Stephanie, where is the police investigation in Steppen's case?
Well, it's being investigated according to police, but no charges have been laid. According to the courts, Rebecca is supposed to be honoring a 2012 custody agreement and allowing visits with her son to her ex, but she says text messages like the one of the noose means she's ready to fight that.
All I know is when I see that is it's over my dead body. Is he ever having access to my child? I don't care what judge approves it. They'll have to take me to jail before he'll ever gain access to my child.
Rebecca Steppen's ex didn't want to speak with us here at CBC. The Regina Police Service says it's updated training for its officers, including the one who handled Rebecca's case that day. Jill?
Thank you, Stephanie.